Hello again. Now, the three candidates vying to succeed Jeremy Corbyn as Labour leader will take part in a televised debate here on Sky News tomorrow evening. Meanwhile, a new Labour members poll by YouGov, commissioned by Sky News, has indicated that Sir Kier Starmer looks set to win on the first round with more than 50% of the vote of the membership. Rebecca Long-Bailey is second on 31%, and as you can see, Lisa Nandy third on 16%. So, what should we make of the numbers? Let's speak to Sonia Sodha, former senior policy advisor to the ex-Labour leader Ed Miliband and now the Observer's chief leader writer. Good to see you this evening, Sonia. We knew Sir Kier Starmer was ahead, but this exclusive poll says he's convincingly ahead.
Yes, that's right. He's a bit further ahead than last time there was a poll, and it's been 4 weeks now that we've had a poll. So I think this poll is sort of quite significant in offering a window into how the candidates are doing with Labour members and supporters and affiliated supporters. And yeah, it shows a fairly convincing lead for Kier Starmer. And in fact, if the poll's right, and obviously, only time will tell about that, but if the poll's right, he would actually win on the first round of voting, which is pretty significant. So I think Team Starmer will be looking at this and feeling pretty pleased. I think if you're Team Rebecca Long-Bailey, it's a much more kind of disappointing set of results.
Yeah, he said on Sky News that he's not taking anything for granted. But what's quite interesting, if you drill down these numbers, Sir Kier does convincingly better in many key categories. For example, amongst older members, Remainer voters, and interestingly, trade unionists. Why is that, do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really interesting, and I think, there are a lot of people who wouldn't have expected that we might find ourselves here after, a few weeks on from a general election. A lot of people would have said at the end of last year, if there's a leadership contest, the far left candidate, the one who's got the sort of, the official seal of approval from Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell, it's theirs to lose. And it's very hard to see how anyone else could come in and take it. And actually what this poll shows is that isn't what's happened. And I think that's because there's probably more appetite amongst Labour members to reconsider what the party needs. And Labour members, I don't think it is the cult that some people accused the Labour Party of being, sort of months ago. I think people, Labour Party members, they've been going out, knocking on doors during the general election. They got some quite negative messages back on the doorstep, not a surprise given the result. And I think they want the Labour Party to win too. And so I think that's why you see that people haven't necessarily grouped around Rebecca Long-Bailey, who is a candidate backed by John McDonnell. But you're right that it is surprising. The only groups that Rebecca Long-Bailey is really sort of winning amongst is kind of momentum supporters, which is really sort of where you'd expect. And across a lot of other groups, Kier Starmer is out in the lead. So, I think there are a lot of people who wouldn't have predicted we'd be here sort of a few weeks on from a general election. It was the left's to lose, but they seem to be losing it.
Yeah, especially as ideologically, they're actually not that far apart, and yet the numbers are wide apart.
Yes, and I think that, that may be something to do with hustings. I think Kier Starmer has played quite a smart game, actually, in terms of trying to appeal to members from right across the sort of party. So I think he will be attracting, with those sorts of figures, it's to be expected he's, attracting members who are probably, from the centre or maybe even the right of the party. But he's also definitely winning support with those sorts of numbers for people who backed Jeremy Corbyn in 2015 and 2016 when there were the last sort of Labour leadership contests. So he's clearly trying to appeal across the piece. I mean, I think there are criticisms to be made of him, though, in the sense that he's playing it incredibly safe. Some people think he's not saying that much that's interesting, but perhaps that's the strategy that you would expect from someone who is out front in the lead. They're trying to play it safe. They're trying to keep everyone on board. They're trying to triangulate a bit. And I think maybe his team will look at these numbers and think, well, that strategy is paying off.
Yeah, it's interesting that this survey shows that for Labour members who joined since the disastrous general election for Labour, they are overwhelmingly in favour of Kier Starmer. And finally, if he does win, how easy will it be for him to bring the Labour Party machine behind him, do you think? Because we know there are many huge Corbynites there.
I mean, I think he will face challenges without a doubt. I think it helps that he's been very emollient in this campaign. I don't think he has spoken, he's gone as far enough with some of the hard truths that he could about why Labour lost so badly at the end of last year. He has been quite emollient, so I think that will ease the past slightly. But there's no question that he's not the favoured candidate of some very senior staff members in the party, you know, in Jeremy Corbyn's office at the moment, and that, you know, they may try and make his life difficult. That said, you know, Labour's also got kind of important elections to its National Executive Committee. So it is within the power of leaders to change these things. And I think if he wins a decisive victory, which is kind of what these figures suggest he may be on the party, we don't know yet, but if he wins a fairly decisive victory, I think members will want whoever's working for the party to rally round who's been elected leader.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how much patience there will be for game playing and factionalism. Although, you know, the Labour Party has an incredible ability to sort of play factional games, so they may still happen.
Sonia, we're going to have to leave it there. We appreciate your time. Thank you very
Sure.
much. And don't forget the Sophie Ridge programme, that debate with all three Labour leadership candidates in front of a live audience in Dewsbury, which the Conservatives, you'll remember, captured from Labour at the last election, is coming up tomorrow at 8 o'clock.